I was standing on my dock that Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, watching the mist rise off the lake. September, in upstate New York, always gave me peace. Then I saw Amanda's car pull up to the cottage next door. My daughter-in-law. She didn't know I was there. I watched her drag a large navy suitcase to the dock and heave it into the water. That's when I heard it. A muffled cry. My blood turned to ice. I ran, dove in fully clothed, and dragged that sinking case to shore. My hands shook as I ripped the zipper open. Inside was a newborn baby, purple-faced, drowning. The baby wasn't breathing right. 30 years as a nurse kicked in before my brain could catch up. I turned that tiny body on its side, cleared water from the nose and mouth with my finger, started rubbing the little chest in circles. "Come on, baby. Come on." The infant coughed, sputtered, and then let out a weak cry that was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. I wrapped the baby in my cardigan, held that small, warm body against me, and started running toward my house. I needed to call 911. This baby needed a hospital. I needed police. What I'd just witnessed was attempted murder, but I didn't make it to my porch. Amanda stepped out from behind the oak tree near my driveway. She looked calm. Too calm. Like someone who'd just returned from a pleasant walk, not someone who'd tried to drown an infant. "Give me that right now, Gianna," she said. Her voice was flat, cold. "This doesn't concern you." I stopped walking. The baby squirmed in my arms. "Doesn't concern me? Amanda, what have you done? Whose baby is this?" She took a step closer. "It's mine. Well, it was supposed to be nobody's, but you've complicated things." My stomach turned over. "What are you talking about?" Amanda sighed like I was being tedious. "I had an affair 8 months ago. This is the result. Tyler doesn't know. Nobody knows. I gave birth 3 days ago in a motel in Plattsburgh. Did it all alone. And I was handling it until you decided to play hero." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Handling it? You tried to kill a baby?" "I tried to solve a problem," she corrected. "Tyler and I have a good life. I'm not letting some mistake ruin everything I've built. Do you have any idea how much money your son makes? How comfortable our life is? I'm not giving that up for this." She gestured at the baby with disgust. "You're insane," I whispered. "I'm calling the police right now." "No, you're not." Amanda's expression changed. Her eyes went hard. "If you make that call, I will destroy you, Gianna. I'll tell everyone you've been having mental problems. Memory issues. Paranoid delusions. Tyler already thinks you're getting forgetful. It won't be hard to convince him you've gone completely off the rails. I'll say you attacked me and tried to steal our baby. That's right. I'll claim this is mine and Tyler's. We kept the pregnancy secret. And you, in your confused state, tried to kidnap her. That's ridiculous. No one will believe that. Won't they?" She smiled. "I've been laying groundwork for months, Gianna. I have Tyler completely wrapped around my finger. He'll believe whatever I tell him." Before I could respond, I heard a truck engine. My heart sank. Tyler's pickup pulled into the driveway. "Perfect timing," Amanda murmured. Then she started screaming. "Tyler! Tyler, help me! Your mother attacked me! She's taken our baby!" I watched in horror as Amanda scratched her own arms with her nails, drawing blood. She grabbed a handful of her hair and yanked hard enough to pull strands out. Then she fell to her knees, sobbing hysterically. Tyler jumped out of his truck and ran to her. "Amanda, what happened? Are you okay?" "Your mother," Amanda gasped between sobs. "She's lost her mind. She attacked me. She tried to take our baby. Tyler, I'm so scared." Tyler looked at me. Really looked at me. I was soaking wet, wild-eyed, clutching a newborn. My son's face filled with confusion and concern. "Mom? What's going on? Why do you have a baby?" "Tyler, listen to me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "This isn't what it looks like. I saw Amanda throw a suitcase in the lake. There was a baby inside. I pulled it out. She tried to drown this child." "That's crazy," Amanda wailed. Tyler, the baby is ours. We were keeping the pregnancy secret because of complications. I told you I'd tell your mother when we were ready. But she showed up here and went berserk. She thinks the baby isn't real or something. She's confused. She needs help. Tyler moved toward me slowly, like I was a wounded animal. Mom, please give me the baby. You're scaring me. Tyler, no. You have to believe me. Your wife just tried to commit murder. Gianna, you're soaking wet, and you're not making sense. His voice was so gentle, so worried. When did Amanda tell me she was pregnant? Can you tell me that? Because I don't remember. She didn't tell you because it's not yours, I shouted. She had an affair. This is someone else's baby. She gave birth 3 days ago and tried to dispose of the evidence. Amanda let out a fresh wail. She's completely delusional. Tyler, please. I'm scared of what she might do. My son looked at his wife, bleeding and crying on the ground, and then at me, drenched and desperate, holding a stranger's baby. I saw the exact moment he made his choice. He believed her. Mom, I need you to give me the baby. Tyler's voice was firm now. Please don't make this harder. Tyler, I am telling you the truth. My voice cracked. I saw what I saw. This baby was in a suitcase in the lake. Your wife threw it there. Amanda stood up, still sniffling. Tyler, I did have a suitcase. It had old baby clothes we were donating. I set it down by the dock to adjust something in my car. Maybe it rolled? And your mother saw it and got confused and thought something terrible was happening. I think she needs help. Professional help. She pulled out her phone and showed Tyler something. Look at these texts between your mother and me over the past few weeks. She's been writing strange things. Paranoid. I've been worried about her, but I didn't want to upset you. I felt cold dread spread through my chest. What texts? I never sent you texts. Yes, you did, Gianna. See, Tyler? She doesn't even remember. Amanda's voice was patient, pitying. Tyler scrolled through the phone, his face growing more concerned. Mom, these are pretty concerning. You wrote about people watching the house, about government conspiracies, about Amanda hiding things from me. I never wrote those. She fabricated them somehow. Tyler, please, think. Have you ever seen me use my phone to text anyone? I barely know how to text. Your father used to do all that for me before he passed. That should have been a good point. But Amanda was ready. Tyler, remember last month when your mom called you 6 times in one night because she couldn't find her reading glasses? And they were on her head the whole time? Tyler's expression softened with sad recognition. I remember. That was normal aging, I protested. Everyone does that sometimes. The baby started crying harder. She needed medical attention. I could see she was still struggling to breathe properly. This baby needs a hospital right now, I said. Whatever you believe about me, that's a medical fact. Look at her. She's in distress. Tyler nodded. You're right. Amanda, we need to get her checked out. Even if Mom is confused about what happened, the baby needs a doctor. Of course, Amanda agreed quickly. I want that too. I'm a good mother, Tyler. Unlike what your mother is suggesting. I was trying to figure out my next move when I heard sirens. Thank God. I'd managed to slip my phone out of my pocket while Tyler and Amanda were talking and dial 911. I'd left the line open, hoping the dispatcher heard enough to send help. 2 police cars and an ambulance pulled up within minutes. Amanda's face flickered with annoyance for just a second before she put her mask back on. She ran to the paramedics, crying, "Please help. This is my baby. My mother-in-law attacked me and tried to kidnap her. She even tried to drown her in the lake. I got here just in time to stop her." The story had evolved. Now Amanda was the hero who'd saved the baby from me. Tyler stood beside his wife, his arm around her protectively. "Officers, I think my mother is having some kind of mental health crisis. She's not normally like this. She's confused." A female police officer, whose badge read Detective Harris, approached me carefully. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to hand over the infant." "Please," I begged. Please, just listen. Check this baby for a birthmark. On her left shoulder blade, it's shaped like a crescent moon. This baby was reported missing from a hospital in Vermont 2 weeks ago. I know it sounds crazy, but please, just check. Detective Harris exchanged a glance with her partner. How do you know about a birthmark? I saw it when I was giving her rescue breathing. Please, just look. The detective turned to Amanda. Ma'am, we do need to examine the infant for medical purposes. May we? Of course, Amanda said sweetly. I have nothing to hide. I'm happy to cooperate with anything that helps my baby and proves I'm telling the truth. The paramedics examined the baby. One of them carefully checked the shoulder blade. He looked up at Detective Harris and shook his head slightly. No birthmark that I can see, Detective. My heart sank. That's impossible. I saw it. Amanda pulled out another document from her purse. How did she have all this ready? Here's the home birth certificate. And a letter from our midwife, Carol Stevens. Everything is completely legal. We chose a home birth due to my anxiety about hospitals. Detective Harris looked at everything carefully. She took statements from all of us. Tyler confirmed that he and Amanda had been keeping the pregnancy secret due to complications. Amanda's story was consistent, detailed, and backed up with documents. My story sounded like the ravings of a paranoid old woman. Mrs. Gianna, Detective Harris said gently, I understand you're concerned, but based on the evidence here, I don't see grounds for any charges against Mrs. Amanda. However, she is within her rights to request protection from further contact. I want a restraining order, Amanda said immediately. I'm terrified of what she might do next. My baby could have died today. Within the hour, I was served with a temporary restraining order. I had to stay 500 feet away from Amanda, Tyler, and the baby. If I violated it, I'd be arrested. I stood on my porch and watched them leave. Amanda was carrying the baby, Tyler's arms still around her shoulders. She looked back at me once and smiled. It was a smile of pure triumph. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table and tried to make sense of everything. I knew what I'd seen. That baby had been in a suitcase in the lake. There had been a birthmark. But somehow, Amanda had anticipated every move, had answers for everything. The next morning, I drove into town to the library. I needed to use their computers because I didn't trust my home internet. If Amanda could fake text messages, she could monitor my online activity too. I searched missing children databases for hours. And then I found it. Burlington, Vermont, 3 hours north. 2 weeks ago, a newborn baby girl had been taken from her mother's hospital room. Someone dressed as a nurse had walked in, said they needed to take the baby for routine tests, and simply walked out. The baby had never been seen again. The description matched: 6 pounds. Born with a distinctive port wine birthmark on the left shoulder blade, shaped like a crescent moon. I printed everything. Every article, every missing person poster, every detail. Then I drove straight to the police station. Detective Harris agreed to see me. She looked tired and slightly annoyed, but she listened as I laid out all the papers. This is the baby, I said. This is the missing infant from Burlington. The birthmark matches exactly what I saw. Detective Harris studied the papers. Mrs. Gianna, this is a serious accusation. If you're right, we're talking about kidnapping across state lines. But if you're wrong, you're harassing a new mother and violating a restraining order by continuing to make accusations. I know what I saw. Let me make some calls. If this is legitimate, we need to verify. I'll contact Burlington Police, and we'll do a welfare check on the infant at your son's home. If the baby has a birthmark matching this description, we'll pursue it further. I felt a surge of hope. Thank you. Thank you so much. But Detective Harris held up a hand. However, if there's no birthmark, and this turns out to be harassment, Mrs. Amanda will have grounds for more serious legal action against you. Do you understand? I understand. I know what I saw. 2 days later, Detective Harris called me. Mrs. Gianna, we conducted the welfare check. We examined the infant. There is no birthmark on her shoulder blade. The baby appears healthy and well cared for. I'm sorry, but your information was incorrect. That's impossible, I whispered. I saw the baby myself. No birthmark. Mrs. Gianna, I'm going to be direct with you. Mrs. Amanda is considering pressing charges for harassment. The only reason she hasn't is because your son asked her not to. He believes you're struggling with some cognitive issues and need help, not punishment. But if you continue making these accusations, she will press charges. Do you understand? I understood. I understood that Amanda was smarter than I'd given her credit for. She'd covered the birthmark somehow. Makeup, maybe. Something theatrical and professional. That night, I received an email to my old account I barely used. The subject line was blank. The message was brief. Stop looking, or you'll end up like the others. Amanda isn't working alone. You have no idea how deep this goes. The email address was a jumble of numbers and letters. When I tried to reply, it bounced back. When I refreshed my inbox, the email was gone entirely, deleted remotely, somehow. I sat in my dark kitchen and realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about one woman getting rid of an unwanted baby. This was organized. There were others involved, and they knew I was investigating. For the next 2 days, I barely left my house. I kept the curtains drawn and jumped at every sound. But I couldn't just sit there. That baby's life depended on me figuring this out. On the 3rd day, my landline rang. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Gianna? A woman's voice, hushed and nervous. Yes. Who is this? I can't give you my name. Not yet. But I've been following your case, through someone I know in the police department. You need to know that you're right. About everything. My heart started pounding. What do you mean? Amanda is part of something bigger. An illegal adoption ring that operates across New York and New England. They take babies from vulnerable mothers. Drug addicts, homeless women, undocumented immigrants. Sometimes they steal them from hospitals when they can. Then they sell them to desperate couples who'll pay anything for a baby and won't ask questions. $50,000 to $100,000 per child. Oh my God. Amanda's role is as a facilitator. She's educated, looks trustworthy, has the connections to forge documents. She can move in wealthy circles and find buyers. But something went wrong with this particular baby. The birth mother escaped and reported it to police. Made it impossible to sell. So Amanda had to dispose of the evidence. Why are you telling me this? Because I got out. I used to be part of it. And I've been trying to expose them for 2 years. But they're careful. Very careful. And they have connections. Police, social workers, people you'd never suspect. But if you're willing to fight, I can help you. I have documents, names, proof. Yes, I said immediately. Yes, I'll do whatever it takes. Meet me tomorrow. There's a diner in Albany, off Interstate 87, the Bluebird Diner. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Come alone. Don't tell anyone. If they find out, they'll kill us both. How will I recognize you? I'll recognize you. I've seen your picture. Just sit at a booth in the back and wait. She paused. And Gianna? Thank you. For not looking away. Most people just look away. The line went dead. The next day, I drove the 90 minutes to Albany. My hands were sweaty on the steering wheel. I kept checking my rearview mirror, paranoid that someone was following me, but the highway was busy with normal traffic. The Bluebird Diner was a classic American spot with red vinyl booths and a long counter. I got there at 1:45 and chose a booth in the back corner where I could watch the door. 2 o'clock came and went. Then 2:30. Then 3. At 3:15, the waitress came by for the 4th time. "Hon, you want to order anything? You've been nursing that coffee for over an hour." "I'm waiting for someone," I said. "I'll give it a few more minutes." But at 3:45, I had to accept that she wasn't coming. Something had happened. I left money for the coffee and a generous tip and drove home as the sun started setting. That night, I turned on the local news while making dinner. I wasn't even really watching, just needed the noise. But then I heard the newscaster say something that made my blood run cold. A tragic discovery in the Hudson River today. The body of a woman has been identified as Sarah Mitchell, age 42, of Albany. Police are investigating but suspect suicide. Mitchell had been unemployed and reportedly struggling with depression. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Albany Police Department. They showed a photo. It was her. I knew it was. The voice on the phone. Sarah Mitchell was the woman who'd tried to help me. This was no suicide. I sat down hard on my couch, my whole body trembling. They'd killed her. They'd found out about our meeting, and they'd killed her to keep her quiet. Over the next few days, I started noticing things. A dark SUV with tinted windows that parked down the street from my house. When I drove to the grocery store, it followed at a distance. When I went to my doctor's appointment, it was in the parking lot. I came home one afternoon and immediately knew someone had been inside. Nothing was stolen, but things were slightly off. Papers on my desk had been moved. My laptop was warm when I touched it, even though I hadn't used it all day. Someone was monitoring me. I tried calling Tyler. He didn't answer the first 5 times. On the 6th try, he picked up. "Mom, I can't talk long." His voice was strange, slurred, thick. "Tyler, are you okay? You don't sound right." "I'm fine, just tired. Been having stomach problems. Headaches. Amanda says it's stress, because of everything with you." My nursing instincts kicked in. "What kind of stomach problems? When did they start?" "I don't know. Few months ago? They're getting worse. Really bad yesterday. Threw up at work. Dizzy all the time." "Tyler, listen to me carefully. Have you seen a doctor?" "Amanda says I don't need one. She's taking care of me. Making special smoothies and stuff to help my stomach." Special smoothies. My blood turned to ice. I knew those symptoms. Gradual poisoning. Probably arsenic or another heavy metal. Small doses over time. It would cause exactly what Tyler was describing. Nausea, vomiting, ditziness, confusion, memory problems. Amanda was poisoning my son. "Tyler, you need to go to the emergency room right now. Today. Tell them to test for heavy metals in your blood." "Mom, you're being paranoid again. Amanda's helping me. She loves me." "Tyler, please. I have to go. Amanda needs me." He hung up. I tried calling back. It went straight to voicemail. I tried 10 more times. Nothing. 2 days later, a courier delivered legal papers to my door. I opened them with shaking hands. Amanda and Tyler were petitioning to have me evaluated for mental competency. They wanted me involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility for evaluation. The petition cited my increasingly erratic behavior, the incident with the baby, my continued harassment despite a restraining order, my paranoid delusions about adoption rings and conspiracy theories. There were signed statements from neighbors saying I'd been acting strangely, talking to myself in my yard, staying up all night with all the lights on, asking odd questions about whether they'd seen people watching my house. The hearing was scheduled for 1 week from now. If Amanda succeeded, I'd be locked in a psychiatric ward, probably medicated into compliance, completely silenced. Tyler would die from the poisoning while I was institutionalized and unable to help him. The baby would be sold, and Amanda would win. I had 1 week to stop this. I got in my car and drove north to Burlington. I had to find Jessica, the birth mother. If we worked together, maybe we had a chance. It took me most of the day, but I finally tracked her down at a women's shelter. She was tiny, painfully thin, with hollow eyes and trembling hands. She looked at me with suspicion when I introduced myself. "Why should I believe anything you say?" she asked. "Everyone says they want to help. Nobody does." "Because I pulled your daughter out of a lake," I said quietly, "and I'm not going to stop fighting until she's back in your arms where she belongs." Jessica started crying. We sat in the shelter's common room for 3 hours while I told her everything. When I finished, she wiped her eyes and said, "What do we do?" "We need federal help. This crosses state lines." The local police aren't equipped for this, and I think some might be compromised. We need the FBI. The next morning, Jessica and I walked into the FBI field office in Albany. We asked to speak to someone in the human trafficking division. We were put in a small conference room and told to wait. An hour later, a young woman in a dark suit entered. I'm Special Agent Rachel Torres. I understand you have information about child trafficking? For the next 3 hours, we told her everything. Jessica gave her statement about her baby being stolen from the hospital. I told her about Amanda, the suitcase in the lake, the birthmark, the mysterious phone call from Sarah Mitchell, her subsequent death, the surveillance, everything. Agent Torres listened carefully, taking notes. When we finished, she leaned back in her chair. I've been investigating adoption rings in the Northeast for 3 years, she said. I've heard whispers about an operation matching your description. But these people are extremely careful. They cover their tracks well. I've never been able to get enough evidence to prosecute. So you believe us? I asked. I believe something is happening. Whether it's exactly what you've described remains to be seen, but it's worth investigating. Let me make some calls. She returned 20 minutes later. I've contacted Burlington PD. They're reopening Jessica's case, and I'm going to look into this, Amanda, very carefully. But I need to be honest with you both. Investigations take time. And Mrs. Gianna, you have a competency hearing in 5 days. I can't stop that. The court system doesn't work on my timeline. Then what do? Don't give them ammunition. Stay calm. Document everything. And pray that I can find something in time. I drove home that evening feeling more hopeless than ever. The FBI was investigating, but too slowly. My hearing was in 5 days. Tyler was being poisoned. The baby was still with Amanda, and I had no power to stop any of it. When I got home, I found my front door slightly ajar. I'd locked it. I knew I had. I pushed it open carefully. The house had been ransacked. Every drawer pulled out. Papers scattered everywhere. My laptop was gone. The external hard drive where I'd backed up all my research was gone. Even my old filing cabinets had been emptied. They'd taken everything. I called the police to report the break-in. A different officer came this time, not Detective Harris. He took a statement, looked around, and basically told me there wasn't much they could do. No signs of forced entry, nothing valuable stolen except the computer. Could have been kids. Happens sometimes. He didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. He thought I was a paranoid old woman making things up. After he left, I sat in my destroyed living room and tried to think. All my evidence was gone, but I still had my memory. I started writing everything down by hand in a notebook, every detail I could remember. If they came back, at least I'd have something. That night, I barely slept. Every sound made me jump. Around 3 a.m, my cell phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Heavy breathing. Then a low voice, disguised somehow. You should have stopped when you had the chance, Gianna. Now you're going to lose everything. The line went dead. The next morning, I got a call from a number I recognized. Tyler's work. Mrs. Gianna? This is David Chen from Cromwell Real Estate. I'm Tyler's boss. I'm calling to let you know Tyler collapsed at work this morning. He's been taken to St. Mary's Hospital. He's in the intensive care unit. My heart stopped. What happened? The doctors aren't sure yet. Acute organ failure. His liver and kidneys are shutting down. They're running tests. I grabbed my purse and keys and drove straight to the hospital. Restraining order be damned. My son was dying. When I got to the ICU, Amanda was already there. She stood up the moment she saw me, her face a mask of concern that I now knew was completely fake. "Security," she called out. "This woman has a restraining order against her. She's not supposed to be here." 2 security guards approached. "Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to leave." "My son is dying in there," I said. "I have a right to see him." "You have a court order prohibiting you from being within 500 feet of Mrs. Amanda," one guard said. "She's filed a complaint. You need to leave or we'll call the police." Through the ICU window, I could see Tyler in the bed. He looked gray, lifeless, hooked up to a dozen machines. "Please," I begged Amanda. "Please let me see him. Whatever you think of me, he's my son." "You did this to him," Amanda hissed, quiet enough that the guards couldn't hear. "All this stress you've caused, you made him sick." "You're poisoning him," I whispered back. "And you know, I know it." Amanda smiled. "Prove it." "Oh, wait, you can't. Because you're a crazy old woman with paranoid delusions. Now get out before I have you arrested." The guards escorted me from the hospital. I sat in my car in the parking lot and sobbed. Later that day, Detective Harris called me. "Mrs. Gianna, I need you to come to the station. Now." Something in her voice made my stomach drop. "What's wrong?" "Just come in, please." At the station, Detective Harris led me to an interrogation room. Not her office, an actual interrogation room with a metal table and a mirror on the wall. "Am I under arrest?" I asked. "Not yet, but I need to ask you some questions. About Sarah Mitchell, the woman who called me, the one who died." "Yes, we pulled her phone records. Your number is in her call log multiple times in the days before her death, including the day she died. She called me. She wanted to meet. To give me information about Amanda and the adoption ring. Did you meet her?" "No. She never showed up. I waited at the diner for 2 hours. Then I went home. That night, I saw on the news that she'd died." "What time did you leave the diner?" "Around 3:45 in the afternoon." Detective Harris pulled out a file. "Sarah Mitchell's estimated time of death is between 3 and 4 that afternoon. You were in Albany at that exact time." "Yes, but I was at the diner. The waitress saw me. I paid for coffee." "The diner is less than a mile from where her body was found. You had opportunity, Mrs. Gianna. Why would I kill her? She was trying to help me." "Here's what the district attorney is thinking. You've become obsessed with this conspiracy theory about your daughter-in-law. You've been making wild accusations. When Sarah Mitchell, a former social worker with documented mental health struggles, refused to corroborate your story or give you the proof you demanded, you became violent. Maybe you didn't mean to kill her. Maybe it was an accident. But she ended up in the river." "That's insane. I've never hurt anyone in my life." "The FBI looked into your claims about the adoption ring. They found no evidence, no proof of any organization, no records of Amanda using false identities. The baby in your son's care has been DNA tested. It's theirs. Born via home birth, completely legal. Everything you've said has turned out to be false, Mrs. Gianna. The DNA test is a lie. That baby is Jessica's, from Burlington. We contacted Jessica. She's recanted her story. She says you pressured her, confused her, manipulated her into making false statements. She admits the baby stolen from the hospital might not have had a birthmark after all. She was on drugs at the time. Her memory was fuzzy. They'd gotten to Jessica, threatened her, or paid her off, or both." "I want a lawyer," I said. "That's your right." Detective Harris stood up. "Gianna, I don't know what's happening with you, but you need to stop this before someone else gets hurt." 3 hours later, I was formally arrested for the murder of Sarah Mitchell. The evidence was circumstantial, but enough for a charge. My phone number in her records, my presence in Albany at the time of death, my documented instability and obsession with proving a conspiracy. Eyewitness testimony from the diner, placing me in the area. I was held without bail. The judge agreed with the prosecutor that I was a flight risk and potentially dangerous given my increasingly erratic behavior and the restraining order violations. My court-appointed attorney was a young man named Marcus, who looked like he was about 12 years old. He meant well, but I could tell within 5 minutes that he didn't believe me. He thought I was a confused old woman who'd gotten in over her head. From jail, I couldn't protect Tyler. I couldn't save the baby. I couldn't investigate further. I was completely powerless. 4 days after my arrest, I had a visitor, Amanda. She looked perfect, as always. Designer dress, hair, and makeup flawless. She sat down across from me in the visiting room, separated by thick glass, speaking through the phone system. "I wanted to see you one last time," she said pleasantly, "before Tyler dies." My heart sized. What? Oh, he's going to die. The poisoning is too far advanced now. The doctors can't figure out what's wrong, so they can't treat it. I give him another week, maybe 2. And his will leaves everything to me. $3 million, Gianna. Not bad for 3 years of marriage. You monster, I whispered. The baby brought $55,000. She's already with her new family in Connecticut. Nice people. They'll never know where she really came from, and you'll never be able to prove any of this. The FBI is investigating you. Amanda laughed. Are they? Because Agent Torres called me yesterday, very apologetic. Said they'd looked into everything and found no evidence of wrongdoing. Case closed. What about Sarah Mitchell? Did you kill her yourself, or did you have one of your associates do it? Does it matter? She's dead, and you'll be convicted of her murder. Your lawyer is incompetent. The evidence is solid. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison. Or, more likely, in a psychiatric facility for the criminally insane. Either way, you're done. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know how completely you've lost. I want you to sit in this cell for the next 40 years, thinking about how close you came to stopping me and how utterly you failed. I want you to suffer. Someone will stop you eventually. No, they won't. I've been doing this for 8 years. 33 babies, Gianna. All sold. All living with their new families. And I'll keep doing it. Because people like you, people who see what's really happening, you're rare. And when you do appear, we crush you, like bugs. She smiled. Enjoy your life sentence. I'll enjoy spending your son's money. Oh, and that lovely lake house you have? Tyler's will leaves that to me too. I'm going to redecorate, get rid of all your old things. Maybe rent it out on Airbnb. She hung up the phone and walked away. I sat there, staring at my reflection in the glass. She was right. I'd lost. Completely and utterly. Tyler was dying. The baby was gone. I was going to prison. And Amanda was going to walk away rich and free, ready to destroy more lives. That night, alone in my cell, I hit my lowest point. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I just lay on the thin mattress and stared at the ceiling. Everything I'd fought for had crumbled to dust. But then, around 2 a.m, something Amanda had said came back to me. She'd mentioned the Connecticut family by name, the Hartfords. She'd been so confident, so sure of her victory, that she'd gotten sloppy. She'd given me information. It wasn't much. But it was something. In the morning, I requested to speak with someone from the FBI. I told them I'd only talk to Agent Torres, nobody else. Agent Rachel Torres came to see me that afternoon. She looked tired, and I could see skepticism in her eyes. Mrs. Gianna, I came as a courtesy because I know you're going through something difficult, but I need to be honest. We investigated your claims thoroughly. We found no evidence of an adoption ring. Your daughter-in-law's background checked out. The baby is legally theirs. I'm sorry, but there's nothing here. Did you look into the Hartford family in Connecticut? I asked. She paused. How do you know that name? Amanda told me. She came to visit me. She was so sure she'd won that she got cocky. She told me she sold the baby to the Hartfords in Connecticut for $55,000. When did she tell you this? Yesterday, in the visiting room. It should be on the security cameras. Rachel's expression changed. The visiting room cameras. Wait here. She left. I sat in that interrogation room for 2 hours before she came back. When she did, her whole demeanor was different. The camera in that visiting area was malfunctioning yesterday. No recording of your conversation with Amanda. Of course it was, I said bitterly. She probably arranged that too. Probably. But here's the thing. I do know the Hartford name. I investigated them 6 months ago, on suspicion of buying a black market baby. Couldn't prove anything. The adoption looked legal on paper. but something felt off about it. If Amanda mentioned them specifically, that's a connection I can pursue. Hope sparked in my chest. So you believe me? I'm willing to dig deeper. But Mrs. Gianna, even if I find evidence, it's going to take time. You're still facing murder charges. Your son is still in the hospital. I can't promise this will end the way you want. Just please try. That's all I'm asking. Over the next 3 days, Rachel worked around the clock. She pulled Amanda's background going back 20 years. She found something that changed everything. Amanda had used 3 different identities over the past decade. Her real name was Linda Carter. She had a criminal record under that name. Fraud. Identity theft. She'd been part of a con operation in Florida before coming to New York. The woman Tyler married didn't legally exist. Everything about her was fabricated. Rachel brought this to the district attorney. Suddenly, my claims didn't sound so crazy anymore. Next, Rachel went back and looked at Tyler's medical records. She brought in a toxicology specialist who reviewed his symptoms. The specialist agreed it looked like heavy metal poisoning, most likely arsenic. They tested Tyler's blood. The results came back positive. Elevated levels of arsenic. Someone had been poisoning him for months. Then Rachel did something brilliant. She got a court order to test the baby Amanda had. The DNA test Amanda had provided, showing the baby was hers and Tyler's was fake. Rachel insisted on a new test, done by a federal lab. The results came back within 48 hours. The baby was not Tyler's. But the DNA did match Jessica, the woman from Burlington. Armed with this evidence, Rachel got a warrant to search Amanda's house. Tyler was still in the ICU, too sick to object or even understand what was happening. The FBI raid happened at dawn on a Tuesday. They found the theatrical makeup Amanda had used to hide the baby's birthmark. They found forged documents, blank birth certificates, fake midwife credentials. In Amanda's bathroom, hidden behind a false panel in the vanity, they found a small bottle of arsenic. But the real jackpot was Amanda's laptop. She'd encrypted the files, but the FBI's tech team cracked it. Inside were years of records, 33 transactions, babies bought and sold, names of birth mothers, buyers, facilitators, bank accounts, payment records. The entire operation laid bare. They also found evidence connecting Amanda to Sarah Mitchell's death, emails between Amanda and an associate discussing the problem that needed to be handled, security footage from a convenience store near where Sarah died, showing Amanda's car in the area at the time of death. And most damning, the associate who'd actually killed Sarah, a man named Rick Davidson, had left a fingerprint on Sarah's purse. When the FBI arrested him, he took a plea deal immediately. He testified that Amanda had ordered the hit, paid him $10,000, and provided him with the details of Sarah's meeting with me. Within a week, the FBI had arrested 4 of Amanda's associates: a corrupt social worker, a nurse at Burlington Hospital who'd helped with the kidnapping, a lawyer who'd forged documents, and Rick Davidson, the killer. The case against me for Sarah's murder was dropped. All charges dismissed. I was released from jail on a Friday afternoon. Rachel Torres picked me up herself. "I owe you an apology," she said as we drove. "I should have believed you from the start. You believe me now. That's what matters." "What about Tyler?" "He's stable. Still in the hospital, but the doctors are treating him for arsenic poisoning now that they know what it is. They say he should recover with chelation therapy. It'll take months, but he's going to make it. And the baby? She's been returned to Jessica. They were reunited this morning. Jessica is in a residential treatment program now, getting clean. She has a long road ahead, but she wants to be the mother her daughter deserves." I started crying. For the first time in weeks, they were tears of relief. "What about Amanda?" "Arrested yesterday. She's being held without bail, facing multiple counts of child trafficking, kidnapping, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and more. She's looking at life in prison without possibility of parole. And the Hartford family in Connecticut? They're cooperating fully. They had no idea the adoption was illegal. They thought everything was legitimate. They've surrendered the baby they had, and she's been reunited with her birth mother, too. We're dismantling the entire ring, Gianna, because of you. How many babies? 33 that we can document. We're working to track them all down, reunite them with their birth families where possible. Some of the adoptive families knew what they were buying. Others were victims, too. It's going to take years to sort out. We drove to the hospital. When I walked into Tyler's room, he was awake. He looked thin and weak, but his eyes were clear. "Mom," he croaked. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I rushed to his bedside and took his hand. "Honey, it's okay. You didn't know. I should have believed you. You were trying to save me, and I called you crazy. I chose her over you. She was very good at what she did. She fooled a lot of people. What matters is, you're alive. You're going to be okay," he cried. I held him. We stayed like that for a long time. Tyler's recovery was slow. The arsenic had done serious damage to his liver and kidneys. He spent 3 weeks in the hospital undergoing chelation therapy to remove the heavy metals from his system. The doctors said he was lucky I'd figured it out when I did. Another month, and the damage would have been irreversible. When he was finally discharged, he came home to my lake house. He couldn't face going back to the house he'd shared with Amanda. He said everything there felt contaminated. He'd asked his lawyer to put it on the market immediately. We spent those first weeks just being quiet together, fishing on the dock, making simple meals, not talking about what had happened. He needed time to process that the woman he'd married, the woman he'd loved, had tried to kill him. That everything about their relationship had been a lie. Amanda's trial didn't start for another 6 months, but the prosecutor kept us updated. The evidence was overwhelming. Amanda's real name, Linda Carter, was all over the documents. Her laptop contained meticulous records of every transaction. Birth mothers testified. Adoptive parents testified. FBI agents testified about the search, the evidence found, the conspiracy uncovered. Amanda's lawyer tried to cut a deal. The prosecutor refused. This was going to trial. Meanwhile, I started visiting Jessica and baby Hope regularly. Jessica had chosen to name her daughter Hope because, as she told me, "You gave me hope when I had none left." Jessica was doing well in her treatment program. She attended group therapy, individual counseling, parenting classes. She was learning to be the mother she wanted to be. When I visited, I'd hold Hope and watch Jessica's face light up. That little girl was thriving, healthy, and beautiful. "I can't believe she's here," Jessica said one afternoon. "I thought I'd lost her forever. I thought she was dead, and you brought her back to me." "You would have done the same," I said. "No. Most people would have looked away. You didn't. You fought when everyone told you to stop. You're a hero, Gianna." "I'm not a hero. I'm just a mother who couldn't stand by and watch a child die." Agent Rachel Torres came by my house one evening, about 4 months after everything had settled. She brought pizza and beer, and we sat on my porch watching the sun set over the lake. "I got a promotion," she said, "heading up the human trafficking task force for the entire Northeast region, because of the work we did on this case. Congratulations, you earned it. I learned something from you," she said. "I'd been investigating these rings for 3 years and never got anywhere. You know why? Because I was following the evidence, the paperwork, the official channels. But you followed your gut. You trusted what you saw, even when everyone said you were wrong. That's what broke this case open. Sometimes being a stubborn old woman has its advantages." She laughed. "Is Tyler doing okay?" "Better. Physically, he's recovered about 80%. The doctors say he might have some long-term issues, but he's alive. Emotionally, it's harder. He's in therapy, dealing with the betrayal, the manipulation. But he's strong. He'll get through it. And you?" "I'm okay. Tired, but okay." Rachel was quiet for a moment. We found more. More babies that Amanda's ring trafficked over the years. 47 total, going back almost a decade. We're still trying to track them all down. Some of the birth mothers are dead. Drug overdoses, accidents. Some of the adoptive families refuse to cooperate, but we're working through it. This is going to be my job for the next several years, I think. Untangling everything Amanda and her people did. I'm glad you're doing it. Those babies deserve justice. They deserve people like you. People who refuse to look away. Amanda's trial lasted 3 weeks. I attended every day. So did Tyler, though it was painful for him. We sat in the courtroom and listened to witness after witness describe the horror of what Amanda had done. Birth mothers testified about having their babies stolen. Some had been drugged, some had been threatened, some had been told their babies died at birth when really Amanda's people had taken them to sell. Adoptive parents testified about being deceived, about paying huge sums of money for babies they were told were orphans or from mothers who'd willingly given them up. Some had known the adoptions were questionable, but wanted a baby so desperately they didn't ask questions. Others had been completely fooled, believing everything was legal. FBI agents testified about the evidence: the laptop, the bank records, the forged documents, the network of facilitators across multiple states. Rick Davidson, the man who'd killed Sarah Mitchell, testified about receiving orders from Amanda. He described in detail how he'd followed Sarah from her apartment to the river, how he'd pushed her in and held her under until she drowned. His testimony was cold, factual, chilling. Amanda sat through it all with perfect composure. She wore conservative suits, kept her hair simple, showed no emotion. Her lawyer argued that she'd been coerced by others in the organization, that she was a victim too. Nobody believed it. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. They found her guilty on all counts: 37 counts of child trafficking, multiple counts of kidnapping, attempted murder of Tyler, conspiracy to commit murder in Sarah Mitchell's death, fraud, identity theft. At sentencing, the judge was harsh. You systematically destroyed lives for profit. You stole babies from mothers. You poisoned your own husband. You ordered the murder of a woman who tried to stop you. You showed no remorse, no humanity. You are a danger to society and will remain so for the rest of your life. Life in prison, without possibility of parole. Multiple consecutive sentences to ensure she'd never walk free. Amanda was led away in handcuffs. As they took her past our seats, she looked at me. For just a second, her mask slipped. I saw pure hatred in her eyes. Then she was gone. It's been a year now since I pulled that suitcase from the lake. So much has changed. Tyler sold the house he'd shared with Amanda. He used the money to buy a small cottage about a mile from my lake house. He goes to therapy twice a week. He started dating a few months ago, a kind woman named Laura who works as a teacher. He's taking it slow, learning to trust again. But I see him smile more now, laugh more. He's healing. I visited Jessica and Hope for Hope's first birthday party last month. Jessica is 13 months sober now. She's working as a waitress at a busy restaurant in town, saving money. She's taking online classes toward a nursing degree. She wants to help people the way I helped her, she says. Hope is beautiful, healthy and happy and loved. She has Jessica's eyes and that distinctive crescent moon birthmark on her shoulder blade, the mark that almost got covered up forever, the mark that saved her life. Agent Rachel Torres and I talk on the phone every few weeks. She's still working on reuniting the trafficked babies with their birth families. It's slow, complicated work. Some of the children are 5, 6, 7 years old now. They've been with their adoptive families for years. In some cases, the adoptive parents had no idea they'd bought stolen children and have bonded deeply with them. The courts have to decide what's best for each child. It's messy and heartbreaking, but Rachel is determined to bring justice to every single case. Detective Harris from the local police apologized to me formally. She said she should have trusted her instincts, that she'd felt something was off but let the evidence sway her. I told her I understood. Amanda was very good at what she did. That's what made her so dangerous. Tyler and I went fishing this morning, just the two of us. We sat on the dock where everything started, where I saw Amanda throw that suitcase, where I made the choice to dive in instead of looking away. "Mom," Tyler said quietly, "I need to tell you something." "What's that, honey?" "I've been thinking a lot about what happened, about how I didn't believe you, how I chose Amanda over you, how I almost let her get away with everything." "Tyler, we've talked about this. You were being poisoned. Your judgment was compromised." "No, it started before that. The poisoning made it worse, but even before, I didn't listen to you. I didn't want to believe my wife could be a bad person. I didn't want to see the truth because it was inconvenient. And I've realized something. That's what evil counts on. People not wanting to see, not wanting to get involved, not wanting to disrupt their comfortable lives." He turned to look at me. "You weren't comfortable. You saw something wrong and you acted, even when it cost you everything. Even when I turned against you. Even when you were arrested. You never stopped fighting for what was right. I want to be like that. I want to be someone who doesn't look away." I squeezed his hand. "You are that person, Tyler. You always have been. You just forgot for a little while. But you're remembering now." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the water. A heron landed on the far shore. The morning sun sparkled on the lake's surface. It was peaceful, beautiful. Hard to believe something so terrible had happened here. But that's the thing about evil I've learned. It doesn't always look like monsters. Sometimes it looks like a beautiful woman with a charming smile. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Sometimes it lives in your own family. And that's why we can never stop being vigilant. Never stop trusting our instincts when something feels wrong. Never stop fighting for the vulnerable and the powerless. I think about that baby, that tiny purple-faced infant I pulled from the water. She would have died if I'd looked away, if I'd told myself it wasn't my business, if I'd been too afraid to get involved. But I didn't look away. And yes, it cost me. I was arrested. I lost my son's trust. I was branded as crazy. I almost lost everything. But that baby is alive today because I refused to be silent. Jessica has her daughter back because I refused to give up. 33 other babies and their families have a chance at justice because I fought when everyone told me to stop. Was it worth it? Every single second. There's a lesson in this story that I hope everyone listening takes to heart. When you see something wrong, when your gut tells you something isn't right, don't ignore it. Don't tell yourself it's not your problem. Don't let other people convince you you're crazy or mistaken. Trust yourself. Fight for what's right. Protect the vulnerable. Speak up for those who can't speak for themselves. Because evil flourishes when good people look away. Evil wins when we decide our comfort is more important than someone else's life. Evil succeeds when we let fear silence us. But when even one person refuses to be silenced, refuses to look away, refuses to give up, that's when light breaks through the darkness. That's when justice wins. That's when lives are saved. I'm 68 years old. I've been a nurse, a mother, a widow. I've lived a long life, and I've seen a lot of things. But pulling that suitcase from the lake, fighting for that baby when no one believed me, that was the most important thing I've ever done. Not because I'm special, not because I'm brave, but because I chose not to look away. And my hope is that if you ever find yourself in a situation where you see something wrong, something that makes your skin crawl and your gut scream that this isn't right, you'll make the same choice. Don't look away. Fight for what's right. Trust yourself. And never, ever give up on justice. Because sometimes, one person refusing to be silent is all it takes to change everything. Tyler and I finished fishing around noon. We caught 3 bass and threw them all back. On the way back to my house, we stopped at the mailbox. There was a card inside, addressed to me in careful handwriting. I opened it. It was from Jessica. Inside was a photo of Hope, grinning with 2 tiny teeth, holding a stuffed teddy bear. On the back, Jessica had written, "Thank you for giving me my daughter and giving us both a future. We love you." I showed Tyler. He smiled. "You saved a lot of people, Mom." "No," I said. I just refuse to let evil win. That's something any of us can do. We all have that choice, every single day. We walked back to the house together, mother and son, healed and healing, grateful for second chances and the courage it takes to do what's right, even when the whole world tells you you're wrong. So let me ask you something. If you saw what I saw, would you have dived in? Would you have fought when everyone called you crazy? Would you have kept going when you lost everything? I hope you never have to face that choice. But if you do, I hope you'll remember this story. I hope you'll remember that one person can make a difference. That standing up for what's right is always worth it, even when it costs you everything. If this story touched you, if it made you think about what you'd do in my situation, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between your comfort and doing what was right? What did you choose? Let's talk about it. And if you believe in fighting for justice, in protecting the vulnerable, in never looking away when something's wrong, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Because these stories matter. These lessons matter. And together, we can create a world where people like Amanda don't get away with their crimes because good people refuse to stay silent. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for caring enough to hear it all the way through. May you always have the courage to do what's right, even when it's hard. May you always trust your instincts when something feels wrong. And may you never, ever look away when someone needs your help. Take care of yourselves and each other. And remember, one brave choice can change everything.